Hold on, time out. First of all, I wanted to start off this video by saying thank you for watching. This video is going to be specifically aimed at trying to help you get better at competitive PvP or 3v3. If you're looking for more general tips on how to get better at PvP, I've actually got another video that I made right before this one. Link will be in the description for that one, so go watch that first. But then come back. Alright, I want to start off by being very clear about what the whole premise of this video is going to be about. But first, intro. Alright, so let's talk about how you might be going into competitive PvP with the wrong mindset. At this point in time, Destiny 2 competitive PvP is the game mode survival. And this is something that kind of took me a while to fully grasp, but in survival, the objective is not to make your opponent lose their lives first. Your objective is to not lose your lives first. The first team to lose their 4 extra lives loses. So if your playstyle is trying to make the opposing team lose their lives first, a majority of the time you probably won't be successful in doing that. However, if you change your playstyle to focus more on keeping your lives, you will probably be more successful in competitive 3v3. And this actually goes for all 3v3 modes. I'm looking at you, Elimination. Let's get into tip number 1. Something I mentioned in my previous video on how to get better at PvP was that instead of focusing on where your enemies are on your radar, focus on where your teammates are first, then focus on your radar. There is no counter for team shotting at this state of Destiny 2 PvP. 2 or 3 players will always kill one player if, and that's a big if, they are coordinating their engagements at the same time. Even the best of players in PvP will get gunned down by teams of 2 or 3 or groups of 2 or 3 in PvP. It is very important that you are aware of where your teammates are so that you can be next to them and so that you can coordinate engagements with some of your opponents. Tip number 2, pay attention to what kinds of weapons your teammates and enemies are using. Now, there's usually enough time before the match starts that you can kind of take a look at what your teammates and opponents are using just by looking at their characters. This can give you a huge indication as to what kind of playstyle they have. Again, in my previous video, I talked about how the first thing that you need to do in order to get better at PvP is to identify what your playstyle is. By looking at another person's loadout, you can usually get a pretty good idea as to what kind of player they are. You know, if they are running a hand cannon or a shotgun, they're probably going to be a more aggressive player. If they've got a pulse rifle or a scout rifle or a sniper, they may be more of a passive player. You get the picture. The more information that you can gather about your opponent, the more advantages you will have when you play against them. The same goes for your teammates too. If you know what weapons and loadouts that your teammates are using, you can kind of adjust your own to complement theirs or to coordinate with them. Hey, I'm going to be the more aggressive player, or hey, I'm going to stay back and team shot with the rest of you guys. Tip number 3, communicate. Communicate. I know, it's always the Blueberry's fault that you lost the game. However, something that can push your competitive experience to the next level is high-end communication with your teammates. Go look at any of the better players in PvP right now, and at some point, if they are not playing casually, you will notice that they are able to communicate effectively to their teammates about a lot of things during their game. Here are some things that you should call out or communicate to your team. Enemy health levels. If heavy ammo was just picked up, where enemies are located, what weapon they killed you with, how many enemies are next to each other, if the enemy used their super or their abilities. Those are just a few. Again, the more information you can give your team about the enemy, the more successful you will be in competitive PvP. And finally, if you've made it to this point in the video, I have a bonus tip for you. Bonus tip: watch your own gameplay footage. If you've got some way to record your clips or record yourself playing, find a way to save it and then rewatch it. So just like athletes in the NFL, the NBA, the MLB, or any kind of sport, they watch film on their opponents and on themselves. This is just another way for you to identify where some of your strengths are and where some of your weaknesses are. Watch for things like movement, when you last used your supers or your abilities, when you got killed in the open that one time, where are the rest of your teammates at? Those kinds of things. Well, there we go. 4 tips in however many minutes it was. But thank you so much for watching. I do stream over on Twitch at twitch.tv/manofcole. You can come stop on by and tell me how much better at PvP you are than I am. It'll be great. Positive rating is always appreciated. Don't forget to subscribe, and as always, we'll see ya.